Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is my Forbes colleague, technology reporter Richard Nieva. Richard, thank you for joining me. Apple revealed its augmented and virtual reality headset earlier this week, an announcement that CEO Tim Cook called years in the making. So, Richard, walk us through the new features of this headset.
Sure. So this thing is called the Vision Pro, and it's a new mixed reality headset from Apple. And the company is really touting it as, the next great computing platform. If that's true or not, we'll see. But they're calling it spatial computing. And you can watch movies on it, you can play games, you can surf the internet. It has eye tracking sensors, and so it'll let you control windows by like pinching your fingers together and gesturing through the air, very Minority Report. So it's got some fun technology in it.
So, walk us through this. Let's dive a little deeper. You put on the goggles, you put on the headset, and you're saying it's mixed reality, so augmented and virtual. When you put that on, what exactly are you seeing? What does it really look like?
Sure. So when you put it on, you see, like what's in front of you. You see the actual room you're in, and you see a field of apps. I think it looks kind of like what you might see on the iPhone. If you pulled up your home screen. And Apple was really adamant about making sure this was not just a virtual reality device. I think they didn't even say the words virtual reality during the presentation. They really wanted to emphasize that this is augmented reality, which lets somebody still see the world around them while having these digital images overlaid on their field of vision. And Apple's real innovation here is this little dial on the side of it that lets you go from augmented reality to virtual reality, and kind of letting you control how immersed you are along the way.
Can you just, for those who don't know at home, can you explain the difference here between virtual reality and augmented reality? Because it's really interesting that Apple was so specific into not exclusively saying virtual reality.
Yeah, so virtual reality, you are completely immersed in this other setting. You put on the goggles and you look all around you, and you are maybe, you're in a video game. You're in this completely digital world. Whereas augmented reality, you're still seeing, I'm in my apartment right now. I'm looking at you through your screen. I'm seeing that, but there's also maybe a window in front of me, or like an app icon in front of me, and there's these digital things that are just kind of on top of your real world, if that makes any sense.
That does make sense. And you made an interesting comparison a few moments ago. You said this is like Minority Report. So you put these goggles on, and I'm curious, where are people supposed to wear these? At home, at work, in public?
So that's really the interesting societal question that we still need to figure out. Apple would certainly love you to wear these everywhere. In the presentation, they showed people wearing them at home in their living rooms, in work settings. They like sitting on an airplane and having this thing on and watching a movie. The question is, do you really want to be that first person wearing this on a plane? And, we're still going to have to figure all these things out. When Google introduced Google Glass more than a decade ago, there was an immediate backlash. People did not like other people wearing this in public. And so this idea of societal tolerance is something that's going to be really interesting to watch.
This kind of reminds me of when AirPods were introduced, and the response was, we already have headphones. Why are you reinventing the wheel? Why would we want to charge our headphones? And now, you go on a subway car and every person has their AirPods in. But I'm interested in your tech reporter. Do you think that there's a realistic future in where you're walking down the street, you're going to the office, you're going to a cafe, and everyone has their Apple headsets on?
So that's another interesting thing. Other than this question of societal norms, I think there are two big factors, and that's price in size. This thing costs $3,500, which is not an accessible price for most people. So at that price, they're really going after early adopters and tech enthusiasts right now. So the price is going to need to go down for people to actually want to buy this thing. The other thing is size and bulk. These headsets are still gigantic, and they're prone to overheating. And so if they can get smaller with longer battery life, I think it would help toward this kind of mass adoption.
Something that Apple does just effortlessly is having their products work in tandem with one another. Their phones and the Apple Watch, the AirPods. I mean, when I leave my house, it's keys, wallet, phone, and AirPods. But do you think that soon people will be adding this headset to the mix? Will this work and be integrated with other Apple products?
I think that's the idea. Like you said, Apple has always been very good at creating this seamless product ecosystem where devices just automatically sync up. There's lots of interplay between these devices. So you can see AirPods playing a big role here in terms of audio. Or you could maybe see something where health data from your Apple Watch feeds into a VR fitness app. So you can kind of see what the possibilities are here.
I'm interested to see the possibilities as they roll out in the future, but I'm thinking about the competition. Like you mentioned, Google a decade ago released their Google Glass, and that wasn't met with a positive response. Also, Meta had what I would describe as a clunky release to their Meta headset. How has the competition reacted, and how does this Apple headset stack up?
Yeah, I mean, we're really starting to see kind of the market take shape a little bit here. Apple is clearly trying to own the premium end here of the market with this price, while Meta is going for a little bit more of the lower end. The big difference here in terms of the actual hardware and technology is Apple's really big bet in blending AR and VR. So the device has this feature called eyesight that lets people still see the eyes of the person wearing the headset while they have it on. And it's supposed to make the device feel more human and kind of downplay that sort of isolation stigma that can come with VR.
In your piece for Forbes, you point out Apple is usually not first to new product categories, but this really begs the question of what's more important, being first or being the better product?
Yeah, it's really hard to argue with Apple's track record here. They didn't put out the first MP3 player or smartphone or tablet, and yet iPods, iPhones, and iPads have become these huge category-defining products. You think of them when you think of these categories. So history's shown that, at least in Apple's case, this strategy of quality over speed has been successful.
And what has the response been so far?
The response has been pretty favorable. People seem to be very impressed and wowed by the technology. The big question that remains is that while this tech is cool, there's not a clear use case yet. And I think third-party developers will play a crucial role here in creating these experiences and use cases. That's kind of been Apple's MO since launching the App Store in 2008. And it really kind of brought the iPhone to the next level, elevating it from just a cool device to something really valuable for a lot of people and something that they couldn't, leave home without.
Do you think we will see a use case made for these headsets in the recent future, or do you think they still have a ways to go?
That's really hard to tell. I think again it'll be up to developers to really kind of make the case for what this thing can do. And companies have been at this for a long time. Facebook bought Oculus in 2014, and so we still haven't figured out what these things are for past gaming. And Apple is really kind of trying to make the push that this is a lifestyle product, and so if it is a lifestyle product, we'll have to figure out what exactly it's used for.
In the past few days since the announcement, I've heard things like it will be used for airplanes, working out, everything in between. So as, we see more of these updates, I hope you come back and join us. Richard, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.